Thank you so much. As principal of this school, I very much appreciate the fact that you've taken some time to discuss these issues. Now, as principal of the school, I know that there are things going on in other countries where, for example, sustainability is being put into the curriculum, so we may not have much choice in the end. So we really have to think about this. So I have some questions for you, my dear teachers, and I want to know more about how we can incorporate sustainability in the curriculum. So the first question is a really easy one. It's not. I think that this calls for a complete rethink. And so I would like to have your opinion about what role should teachers have in the world, not just in this school, but in the world. So who would like to start us off? The role of teachers in the world. Do we need teachers?
Of course.
We have these computer programs.
I think we're very special persons. Sometimes we have to act like parents. When I think about my students, sometimes they tell me things which I don't want to know. And we play a special role in the students' life.
I think in the world you have to have human contact. It can't just be through electronic. And I think face-to-face is very important. And I think in the world it's shaping young minds and therefore shaping the future.
And I can't speak for all countries, but for Sweden we have the sort of heart of education is to teach norms and values, and through interaction, how you as a teacher, as a role model behave, how you interact with your colleagues, how you treat conflict in the room. I mean, all that is the heart of teaching.
But there might be some changes in the future as what being a teacher means. Maybe there is a need for a certain shift where a teacher is not a person who is just lecturing or teaching in a very specific way, but it's more like a mentor or moderator or facilitator who is giving and moderating the path of people.
I think that people who are not teachers focus on the content. And what the message I'm getting from you is it's not so much about the content. It's about other stuff as well.
And he has to believe himself when he's teaching.
Okay. Yeah.
In our group we talk quite a lot about expanding the learning.
Okay.
And how you can teach and expand the processes.
So that's again an indication that we're not just about content. We're not just.
We talked about making the students curious and to get their creativity in their work, in their day.
Okay.
So only the best one should be a teacher. Only the best one should be a teacher.
So we're talking about quality of teachers as well. Yeah. Okay. Right. So now that we have a role for ourselves, the next question then is about curriculum and what should the curriculum look like? We've just talked a little bit about that it's not just content, but have you had any thoughts about what the curriculum should look like once we
General or
well, taking into account the sustainability aspect?
Of course, as in Sweden, we have it in the LGR 2011. It was a new school reform that were put into place, where sustainability is sort of a red thread throughout
Each subject.
Each subject needs to, in one way or the other, have focus on sustainability. So that's a way of dealing with it, to really highlight it and have it in the curriculum.
And we talked about the word transparency, because I can see exactly what a biology teacher, what they have to teach and what I have to teach and what the history teacher has to teach. In this book that we have, LGR 11, that we can see exactly. That's the first time it's been transparent, that you can actually go in and see what all the other teachers should be teaching.
But you don't know. Oh, you know.
No, but I mean that lifted my eyes, because I noticed that one of the subjects I had that was suddenly in home economics, that it used to be on the social science side, economy, private economy, and suddenly we got it, and then I went in and I looked over on the social science, well, it's actually not there anymore, but they continue to teach it. And we said, well, that's fine, because now we've actually been given a little bit of repetition. So we win.
So this is what I like about employing teachers from other countries, because you get other perspectives. And it's very interesting to find out that it's being integrated in Sweden. But I noticed that you're still talking about the old subjects.
It has to be interdisciplinary.
How can it be interdisciplinary? Because you were just talking about social studies and economics and biology. So we still have the old subjects. So
Yeah, I think it could be a better example of Second World War, for example. It's more like a topic of something that happened, and let's say it has to be taught. But I mean, this topic, and you can talk about, I don't know, geography from geopolitical perspective. You can talk about chemistry, what was used in that time, you know. So you can basically integrate all the subjects which we now exist in this topic itself, right? So that I feel like that's one way, but of course there might be a different way how to interdisciplinary things. But because if we want sustainability, there is a huge need that we see the holistic approach. We do in a holistic approach so that we can see as the world as a system, basically.
So you're making me think of project-based learning.
Yeah.
With your World War II example.
And a lot of experiential, let's say.
Yeah, that's something sort of what we talked about in our group, really engaging learners and appealing to the different types of learners, doing more participatory and hands-on learning to really get them excited.
Okay, so maybe you can talk a little bit more about that, because my next question is about the role of the teacher in the learning process, and it seemed to me that that's what you were talking about there. Have you had experience of this?
Well, I haven't formally taught in a classroom. I just homeschooled my children, but I have had experience volunteering in different classrooms, and I think that a teacher needs to be encouraging and motivating in terms of appealing to different learners. And sometimes teachers, especially in developing countries, have a very hard challenge ahead of them. They may be faced with very large classroom sizes, 100 students to one teacher. And how do you teach that many students? And learning different teaching approaches by doing maybe small group work and pairing high learners with lower learners and having them work together and learn cooperatively and teaching each other. And then, teachers just being able to engage them in various ways.
Any other thoughts on the role of the teacher in the learning process?
I think you also can learn from the students themselves, and you open discussions with the students, I think.
You also said ongoing learning. I think it's important for teachers to continue to, you know, have more tools in their toolbox and to be up to date, you know, keeping fresh so you're, you know, just with all the technology that's happening and being able to maybe utilize that in some fashion if possible in the classroom. And if that's not possible, just finding another way to connect.
And living, living as a teacher as well. We talked, a lot about that, how important it is to basically being truly yourself in the class as well, in terms of what you're doing in life.
And there, as it's been proven in research, that if you're having fun, the center in the brain for laughter, and that is very close to the center where you learn, so they're sort of interconnected. So if you're having fun, at the same time your learning rate picks up. And that is, I always try to have an atmosphere of sort of relaxed, we're sort of doing this together and helping each other to hold that space.
So what I'm hearing is that the teacher has to continue to develop themselves in order to be able to do this effectively.
So I see my role as a supporter and to show them different kinds of ways. I agree with you. I always learn a lot from our students. You have to be open-minded.
Okay, can I ask you, how would you feel if you had set yourself a sustainability challenge and you had failed? Would you tell your students?
You learn from mistakes.
That's good. I think you should.
Yeah.
You need to be accountable too and learn from your mistakes because that's how we grow.
Nobody's perfect.
That's right. I know, how many more questions do we have?
I got chilly.
I'm breaking apart here.
I want to come up here.
Number three.
No, okay. It's very much appreciated. Right, okay. So now I want to turn to the learning environment. At the moment we've got a conventional school, we've got classrooms with doors and so on. So what sort of learning environment do you think would work best to incorporate sustainability?
Excuse me, once more again.
The learning environment, what should it look like?
We talked a lot about that, even the institution itself, of course, it has to be kind of sustainable itself and have this kind of connection with it. And then we talked that, okay, if there is education about sustainability, when you're giving people information about what sustainability is, you're informing them. And then it's a education for sustainability where you're already kind of giving practices, good practices, and how to do it, how to live it. And there is a sustainability as education as sustainability, where it's basically you're truly living it. And that could be like the environment in which you work. It has to be that kind of environment where it's interconnected, where, I don't know, in very practical ways. During your classes and time that you spend in the room, you're already living sustainability.
So does this mean that we as a school should start applying to get ecological badges, environmental badges, for example?
I don't know about a badge, but I do think that the school itself should be sustainable and be setting the example, and then also working with parents and getting parents included into the process to help just have a full circle of support there.
And I think also that learning outside the classroom
Yes.
also. It's not in there.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to learn about the natural world,
Yeah.
in the natural
Yeah.
world.
Exactly.
Also the importance of keeping our body sustainable and sustain. And perhaps this way we've been teaching that you should always sit on a chair. There's a lot of talking in Sweden about standing, that the students actually get a choice to stand or to sit on balls. They keep your balance, so you sort of get a training for your core. But from Finland as well.
You might ask everything from Sweden. So.
But yeah, things like that that can improve, your focus and your learning.
And should we be thinking about, for example, a vegetable garden in the school?
Yes.
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 That's what I was thinking, let's say, and then preparing, let's say, when teachers together with students basically prepare the meal together, using, I don't know, fair trade organic ingredients, for example, and then they're doing that basically in a classroom, and most importantly also seeing the whole process from like the food, putting the seeds to the time that it grows, and of course the whole process till the time that it's used for our use, so then it's also this value comes, and maybe it's helping teaching the values in some ways, students, and changing their values as well.
They do that in the U.S. My son had a school garden, and it was really wonderful because a lot of these kids don't know where their food comes from, and for them to really see it growing from a plant, and then to go out and harvest it, and then they did. They cooked the meal, and then they learned about nutrition and just
There is a school that I really want to mention. It's in quite a region which is quite far away from it's quite isolated, and there was a lot of students failed in school in 10th grade, they didn't pass, right? And then basically this person, he kind of gave them the place to live together, and they threw milking the cows in the morning. After the breakfast, they learned how to draw the graph, how to calculate their daily consumption, how is this economically beneficial. So basically integrating every day in daily routine work. And many of them later on, or they were able to basically get back to this formal education, or they were able to basically stand up and do their own stuff without this formal education process. I just wanted to say that I feel like this is, for me, kind of a sustainable way of education.
Have you learned?
It's called Sekon, and it's in Ladakh. This is the northern part of India, he's a very famous person who is also speaking, and he's creating alternative university there. And maybe it's not right now the time, because I can talk about that for a long time.
Tomorrow evening.
All right.
there we go. Guest speaker.
So I think this is a really good place to end, because we've now got a vision of a very inspiring example in our minds. So thank you very much for taking time to say.